Welcome, everybody. I have with me an old friend and a special guest who I don't get to talk to often enough. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Rodney Bowe. Welcome, Rodney, for joining me on the programming.
Yeah, glad to be here, man. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, absolutely. This is the best part about this is because I get to reconnect with old friends and old musicians that I've got to play with a long time ago. So we've got lots to talk about. Let's go ahead and get started on this because now you're from Roswell, right? Roswell, New Mexico.
I
Were you
grew up in the big city of Roswell.
okay? So you grew up, so you're a transplant. So you were not born in Roswell. So when did you get to Roswell?
Um, I was born in the big city of Los Angeles, California. My
Okay.
parents, my dad was in the Air Force. Met my mom shortly thereafter. We moved to Germany. Um, my dad protected flight lines and missile silos, so we moved to Germany. Lived there for about 4 years. My younger sister, who's 4 years younger than me, um, was born in Germany. And from there, we moved to North Dakota. Why not Minot? Because it's cold as hell. Um, and my brother was born there, who was 8 years younger than me. And we did a small stint trying to see if we were going to transplant in Phoenix. But my mom is from Roswell, and so they decided to retire in the big city of Roswell, Mexico. And so when I was in,
So when did you get so now that we got the roundabout part about when did you arrive in Roswell?
I think I was in about the third grade, somewhere along in there.
Okay.
I don't remember the dates. I might have been, 11, 10, 12, somewhere along in there. And
Okay.
I know that we used to, when we were in North Dakota, we would come every year, every summer, we'd go to Roswell to visit my grandparents. And that's a whole nother story, story of blackdom. That's a piece that I would like to go over. There's a small settlement of people who moved from the Jim Crow South to form a small township outside of Roswell and in between Roswell and Artesia called Blackdom. And so I'm a direct descendant of that from my mother's side.
Okay. All right. Now that's something I'm going to have to look up because I'm not familiar with that, but
Got
that's
homework.
something
You got homework.
I do. I will have to look that up. I'll try to put some information down below because I'm curious about that one. So now you graduated from Roswell High School?
Yes, yes. I was a fighting coyote and still a fighting coyote.
Okay. Now, from there, well, no, before we get to that part, now, how long or at what age did you start playing bass?
Really, I dabbled in it kind of in high school, but not really hardcore until college. I was running across the campus of Eastern New Mexico University. I was on a track scholarship there, and I was going early to track practice. And as I was running by the music building, I heard a jazz band with a horn section, full rhythm section, um, and it blew me away. So I went and sat in the stands in the auditorium, and I did that a couple times. And I went up to the jazz instructor on my second time there, and I said, I want to be a part of this. And he says, okay, great. What do you play? I said, well, I used to play violin, viola, and cello when I was um, in my early life.
Wait a second. Let's see if I get this straight. You didn't play bass in high school? You were
No,
what did you play when you were in high school then?
I I was a dabbler. So, and this is part of the story. Um, what I did is my mom had put me in the orchestra when I was in uh, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, and I actually had the opportunity a couple times to play with the symphony there. Um, graduated from violin to cello, violin, viola, then cello. And, you know, at that time, everybody was like, oh, this is a sissy's thing. You did blah, 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 blah. And so I quit. And so,
Darn.
and I went to high school, but I dabbled in piano. Mom's always had us in the church choir. And so I dabbled in piano, drums. I tried to do a little guitar, mess with bass a little bit. But as I was saying, I was running across the campus of Eastern New Mexico University and heard the jazz band, and it was phenomenal. So I went a couple times, heard the jazz band doing their thing, and I went up to the instructor the second time and I said, I want to be a part of this. He goes, great, what do you play? And I said, I got great rhythm. I can do auxiliary percussion. I used to dabble in blah, blah, blah. I told him the story. He's like, and he had that look on his face like, okay, do you read music? And I said, no, I used to. And he goes, okay, why should I let you in this program? You realize everybody here has been reading music probably in elementary school, middle school, and high school. And you have a lot to catch up on. Why should I let you in here? And I said, I'll be dedicated. And he goes, you know what? Sign up for the second jazz band. I'm going to put you on auxiliary percussion. We're going to record in Norman Petty's studio in Clovis. We got an album to record. I expect you to participate. And by the end of the semester, you should have found your instrument, or I'm going to throw you out on your head. Plus, throughout the semester, I am going to kick your ass. And so I signed up, and there was a gentleman there, Jim Hunter, who was, I believe at the time, a graduate student. He saw me and my frustration going around trying to figure saxophone, trumpet, piano, guitar. I tried all these instruments. It was just, for me, it was just too much. And he said, have you ever tried bass? And I said, I love bass. And he goes, have you ever tried it? You want to try it? I said, sure, but I can't afford lessons. And he goes, nobody asked you about any damn money. But what I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you lessons every Thursday at 11 o'clock. Don't screw around. He used another word.
Yeah, that's okay. I get it.
Don't screw around with my time. I expect you to let me know if you haven't learned the material. Don't waste my time. And so, fabulous teacher. He played both upright and electric classical, and in between, he could read all clefs as well as anybody could read their clef. Just a phenomenal musician. He gave me so much information in that year period of time that it just set me up for success.
So wait, I want to make sure I get this straight. So you went to school at Eastern New Mexico on an athletic scholarship,
Yes,
and
sir.
and then learned how to play the bass. I have worked with you. I find this unbelievable.
Thank you.
Absolutely. This
Thank
is
you.
amazing. See, this is why I like talking to people, because I learned backgrounds. I had no idea. So wait, so you went to Eastern New Mexico and you graduated not with a degree in music, though. You
No,
graduated with a degree in what?
in business administration with an emphasis in marketing. So, so what happened in this whole situation? I actually had other great peers or instructors there. One of the prerequisites that you had to deal with if you're going to play bass in the jazz band, you had to have some classical background. And so I started taking lessons with Art Welker. I had a little bit of grant money. And then I worked my way up to the point that I started getting scholarships from music. And I injured myself running hurdles. I was a hurdler,
Right?
all American hurdler, by the way. Um, I injured myself running hurdles, and part of my scholarship was taken away. But I had enough music scholarships that compensated for it. I really should have worked on getting a degree in music at that time. You know, I was one of those students that went from computer science to biology to art, and I finally ended up just wanting to get out with a degree in marketing and business administration.
I, I, I am absolutely amazed. You know, I've heard some good stories and I've heard some roundabout ways of being a musician, but Rodney, this one takes the cake.
It's
Oh my, that
there's
is,
more to the story.
oh my God, that is so. So now you finished school and then you attended UNM, right?
I went to I stayed at UNM, excuse me, at Eastern for another year chasing a girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
And she decided to do something else. She went to Denver, so I went to Dallas because I had some family there. I went to Dallas, played music there for a while, and decided that Dallas was not my cup of tea. It was, I thought, still pretty segregated. And so I had fraternity brothers here that said, come on up, come to Albuquerque. And so I did so. And I worked for Dr. Harold Bailey at Albuquerque Business College for a period of time. Started taking lessons from various people around the city. And all this time, though, I'd been playing professionally in Dallas. And then when I came here, I was playing professionally, jumping in and out of groups. That's how we met.
Right.
A period of time. Yeah.
Interesting. So now, did you attend UNM? Did you go to school at UNM?
So another part of the story, I wanted to get a master's. And so I was prompted to do public administration, which was like, oh my God, this is so not me. And so I kept playing and performing, but I was working at UNM, so I would take an occasional course here and there in African American Studies.
Mm-hmm.
And in, I believe it was 1995, I was assistant director for student outreach and recruitment for the university.
Okay.
Glenn Coster was a new faculty member and was the director for jazz studies.
Right.
Guess who was doing the indoctrination to UNM or the introduction to UNM? Yours
That was,
truly.
so you got to do Glenn Coster's first year introduction. Welcome to UNM. Glad you're here.
Yes, yes. And we started talking, and he asked me about myself, and I told him I play bass, I play electric bass, and really at the time, the acoustic bass was not my favorite. I probably could play with my feet better. And Glenn said, well, you should try out for the jazz band. And I said, tell me more. And he said, we're having tryouts at this time. And I thought, well, maybe if I try out, and even if I get in the fifth jazz band or combo in the fifth chair, it'll give me some relationship with the School of Music there. I can actually really start my dive into jazz even deeper, because I've always been fascinated about the jazz piece. And so tried out, and to my chagrin, I got co-first chair
In the first band.
in the first band.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what in the hell have I done?
Oh my God. So wait a second. I want to go back here. I want to go back because so you play electric and you play stand up because I know you play acoustic bass.
Yes.
Do you have a preference? You said you suck at playing acoustic, but I know that's not true.
Well, there's a story to that as well. So Glenn told me, this is the time that you come. I got it approved by the department that I could pick the class, do the tuition waiver. I went in with my electric bass, thinking that he'll be okay with me playing electric. Well, Glenn said, and the other gentleman that was sharing the chair with me was Seth Coates, who's a phenomenal bass player, phenomenal person. Glenn said, here, I want you to play this tune on acoustic. And I was like, okay. And it gave me the hives, you know, just, and through the whole class, I played acoustic. And little did I know, Glenn had Mark Tatum, who was the principal instructor at the university for about 30 some odd years.
Yeah.
He had Mark hiding in the audience watching me, and they were laughing at me because we are buddies now. We have played a lot in different configurations. And at the end of class, of course, I'm sweating and I've lost weight. They told me, well, we're going to give you part of the prerequisite again is you got to study bass here, and we're going to give you a scholarship to study with Mark. And I did that for a number of years, playing in the jazz band, playing in combos, to the point that I actually started helping them teach some of the jazz history classes, bringing in bands. And Mark is a phenomenal instructor. He got it to the point that I loved what he was giving me, where he was taking me. Of course, playing classical can be very stressful, but at the same time very rewarding. And so there you have it. That's why I can play both instruments now.
So you were working and taking classes and playing in the jazz band and
Yes.
doing all of this the whole time you were at UNM.
Yes. And my other life, the other 30 minutes of my life, no, the other evening portion was that I was instructing and taking classes in Shaolin Kung Fu.
Oh my God, Rodney. Okay, so far now you've got me so much. I am like learning so much about you. This is amazing because I had no idea about any of this. I mean, truly, I had I had no idea. So wait a second here. Let's see if I get this all right. So you moved to Roswell, you graduate from Roswell, you get a scholarship to Eastern New Mexico. That's when you decide to study bass guitar.
Yes.
So then you move away, then you come back to UNM to work at UNM, and that's when you learn what it was like to play jazz.
Yes.
That is absolutely phenomenal because I have heard you play. I have come to your shows. I have played with you in jazz ensembles. I have worked with you. None of this. I knew none of this. Oh my God. This is, oh, talk about enlightening. All right, wait a second. So now I have to go back. I have to take a step away from music here because you are a big community advocate. You are a community advocate for lots of different things, but the one that I want you to talk to me about is you are the director at the University of New Mexico for what is called the Men of Color Initiative. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Shortly phrased as Moki.
Yes, Moki. So tell me what Moki is, and tell me what your job as the director at UNM is, because this is a big deal, and this is something that I didn't know anything about.
In 2012, I interviewed in the Division for Equity and Inclusion as the liaison to the African American community for UNM, and under the direction of then Vice President for the Division for Equity and Inclusion, Josie De Leon. And phenomenal mentor, phenomenal community activist. A few years later, she threw me the keys basically to be the first staff director for the Men of Color Initiative, which is a initiative designed to help young men to navigate the university system, both academically and socially. And so we network, talk about their health and well-being. We talk about opportunities in the community as well as on campus. We connect them with mentors, faculty, staff, and mentors in the community as well.
This is actually, and I know it's a big deal, and it's something that I don't think enough people know about.
Yes.
Because it's something that I'm not familiar with, and it's something that I think needs to be brought to the forefront, especially in today's day and age, because those opportunities aren't going to always be there for people. It doesn't matter whether you're a person of color or not. Right. Those opportunities are not always going to be presented to you, and we need a resource. This is the resource that people should be coming to and asking for help, especially if you are a person of color. And when you say a person of color, we're talking anybody who is a person of color. We're talking anybody, whether it's of Indian descent, Black descent, Filipino descent, any kind of descent in that way, shape, or form. Is that correct?
It is. It really is. I work collaboratively with African American Student Affairs, African American Student Services, El Centro de la Raza, which is the Hispanic component, with GEO, the Global Education Office. We have recently put together another office for Asian and Pacific Islanders. There's a resource center there. Work with American Indian Student Services as well, and an LGBTQ resource center as well. So there's a large gamut. When the new vice president came here in 2019, the Men of Color Initiative kind of was put on hiatus or in stasis for a period of time because the university wanted to go a different route. We were reaching out into the community, doing things with APS, really providing some mentoring service, and they wanted to really focus back here on campus. And so started working with African American Student Services, focusing in particular with freshmen and sophomores in their retention in the population at UNM.
That's an amazing thing. And you've been the director of this for how long now?
Since 2014.
Wow. So you're going on, this is 9 years you've been doing this, going on 10. And have you been, obviously it's successful. It's got to be a successful program. Otherwise you still wouldn't be in charge of it.
Yes. Again, it was put on stasis for a little bit, and now it's reviving again. I also am the staff support person for the diversity curriculum subcommittee, where we oversee reviewing and approving what curriculum is utilized for credit in the diversity curriculum requirement.
Okay. See, this is amazing. I wish more people knew about this, and I'm going to put down a link down below so that people can understand what it is and people can get involved if they're interested. I think it's a wonderful program, Rodney, and I'm glad that you're in charge of it. So are you also involved with other causes like this around the city?
Yes, I am on the board for ACLU New Mexico, American Civil Liberties Union. I am the co-chair for their diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging committee. Um, I also am on the Southern Christian Leadership Conference board. I'm the recently elected president.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. And I'm on the Outpost performance-based board as well. And I teach a class over there, jazz incubator class.
Oh, you're not busy at all. No, not at all. No, you're not busy.
And first and foremost, I have a 14-year-old.
Well, yes. Yeah, I know you have family, and
Yes.
teenage years take a lot of time, and
Funny.
you're working full time, and you're involved with all these community and advocate type programs. I'm amazed. Do you have time for music?
I do. You know, what one of the blessings for me is I actually get to play anywhere from 2 to 5 times a week. Um, and I have a band right now that's called the Rodney Bowe Experience that plays with these guys pull me behind the wagon. I get to play with Demi DeSanti on guitar, Robert Mueller on keyboards, phenomenal keyboardist from New York who now lives in Santa Fe.
Mhm.
Alex Merzen on saxophone, who's a phenomenal
Yes.
saxophone player. Um, Douglas Cardwell on the drums, who has played with New Mexico Philharmonic and New Mexico Symphony Orchestra and tours the country playing timpani, as well as the newcomer for our group is Keith Robertson, who is the vice president for the board of the New Mexico Jazz Workshop. He's a phenomenal singer, as well as a great percussionist as well. So we've been playing again, 2 to 5 gigs a week. I also get to play. I'm blessed. It's picking up again. I get to play with Tracy Whitney.
Mhm.
And her The Art of Jazz, phenomenal singer, beautiful person, and that's my sister from another mother. And with Demi and with Douglas, we actually do an exchange. We normally call it the Rodney Bowe Trio, but sometimes, and with Robert as well, sometimes we'll interchange, and they'll come up with an engagement, but it might be under their name,
Right.
but it was formalized under the Rodney Bowe Trio. We figured we can play music and make a little money by interchanging it.
Okay, so with the Rodney Bowe Experience, what kind of music? Because I've seen the advertisements and I've seen stuff like that, and I know all the musicians, but I'm curious, how do you define the music that you guys play in the Rodney Bowe Experience?
I define it as groove music.
Okay.
I define it as grown folks music, and I define it as music to make you forget your woes.
That's an interesting way to put that. So it's kind of like a combination. It's a little bit of jazz, a little bit of funk, a little bit of R&B.
Yes, and we even do some Beatles. It will depend upon the venue and what's needed.
Mm-hmm.
We custom craft the set lists for the particular engagement. We do weddings. We do, of course, a lot of private functions, a lot of business functions.
So now you guys also play down at Canvas quite a bit, right?
Canvas is kind of like our office now.
Okay.
We play
Yeah,
there
because
twice
that's
a month.
right, because that's where I've seen you guys advertised a lot to play down at Canvas. Is it Canvas Artistry, right off of Third Street?
It's on First and Central,
First.
and where you got the third, it's on the third floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to haul all your gear up there, huh? I want to come in. I just haven't had the chance. I've been too busy myself. So,
Challenging too.
Yeah. So with all this stuff that's going on, you work during the day, you do all your own stuff, you play all the time, and did I get this right? You have your own consulting business?
Yes, but it is in conjunction. The consulting is with music, it is with graphics, and it is doing weddings or entertainment events. So
You're not busy. Not at all. Oh my goodness, Rodney. I am just absolutely amazed. I have learned so many great things. I had no idea your background. And to find out that, you've only been playing the bass since you were in college, and that
long
you
time
were
now.
and I mean, I know that now, but to start to do all of that and then to get your experience at UNM and to play in the jazz bands and do all this wonderful work that you do, my compliments to you. I don't know how you stay as young as you are and
I
as
got
young
road
looking as
mileage.
you are.
I got road mileage, man.
Yeah,
Come on.
yes, I understand the gray.
Yes,
I
yes.
understand the gray. So we are running out of time. I got time for one more question, and I warned you about this, and I asked this of all the people that I interview. And some of the stories I get, musicians have the best stories. So give me an anecdote, strangest gig, funniest story, something that happened to you. I don't care if it's clean, dirty. I don't care. Do you have a good story you can share?
I thought about it. You prompting this question, and I think the funniest thing that I can think of that is relatively clean is we were at a local venue here. Do you remember the Q Bar in Hotel Albuquerque?
Yes.
Pretty decent place. You can get a lot of people in there. Well, we're packed, and I think we had a 5 or 6 piece group, and having a blast. It's probably 10:30, 11 at night. Um, we were jamming, having a great time. And this woman comes up to me and she wants to give me a compliment and hug. And I'm, of course, playing bass and singing at the same time. And there's a monitor on the floor. She trips over the monitor. Now, take in mind that she doesn't fall all the way to the ground. She stumbles, knocks over my bass amp, and had another bass there. She knocks that over. She's still wobbling, trying to keep her balance. She then stumbles over Douglas's drum set, knocks his drum set over, and we're all trying to catch her at the same time. She stumbles again, knocks over all the microphones up front of everybody who's performing. The saxophone player grabs his sax to protect it. She then stumbles over the other monitor that's on the floor, knocks over the guitar amp. She then stumbles again, and we finally catch her and get her situated. And, and the crowd, is just, everybody's just stopping. And this took probably 30 seconds to a minute for all this to happen. And so it's just like dead silence. All you hear is her knocking stuff over. And the whole crowd just starts laughing, and we help her back off of the stage.
One person took out the whole band.
Took out the whole band. She didn't leave anything untouched.
Oh,
And,
oh.
and you couldn't, you wanted to be mad at her, but you couldn't. It's like, it
As
was like
long as nothing got broke.
nothing got broken, everything worked. It was a phenomenon.
Oh, that's good. Musicians have the best stories. We've had some of the strangest stuff happen to us. We are running out of time. I want to thank Rodney Bowe for joining me today. I want to thank you personally for all the music that you do here in town and
Thank you.
also for all the community work that you do. And ladies and gentlemen, we will catch you next time.